What's up guys, Aroneous here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video we're going to be going over just the basics on Raid Shadow Legends. Now if you're just joining the game, this is going to be a great video for you for 2022. It is September 2022, we're heading into October soon enough, and I can't wait for Halloween next month. We always have goodies on Halloween or around Halloween. We typically have amazing champions that are Halloween fusions, for example. Again, this is going to be just the basics video, and I'm going to be showcasing offense-based champions. And specifically, how do I gear my attack-based champion if I'm trying to put him into an offense-based team? So let's get into it. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go into the tavern here. Now this is a low level account that I'm on right now. This is my referral account, and this is going to be an account that I'm going to be giving away as well. So make sure you tune into the videos, subscribe to the channel, and you could potentially be a winner of this account, which does have Ultimate Death Knight, Deliana, Glacier Soul Guide, and Ninja as well. And I am working on upgrading a couple of these champions to rank 6, so hopefully I'll have at least 2, maybe even 3 champions that are going to be upgraded to max, and I'm hoping to have full masteries on them as well, or at least 1 or 2 of them with full masteries, which would be great for anybody who's kind of starting out in the game. Now, attack-based champions. This video is about attack-based champions and how you should be gearing them if you're going to take them into the offense side of things for this game. So, the main thing is, when you're coming into the game, there's so many champions. There's hundreds and hundreds of champions. At this point, there's almost 1,000 champions. Maybe there is 1,000 champions or more at this point. And basically, it's hard to choose from which champions you want to upgrade in the beginning, which champions you want to utilize, because there's so many different types of champions, ranging from common all the way to legendary champions. And in the beginning, you start off with a starter champion. Now, I do recommend starting off with Kale myself, but you can choose whichever person you want. However, Kale is going to be the best champion for anybody starting out in the game because of his kit. Now, with new things coming to the game like blessings, this is going to be extremely helpful for you guys that are just starting out in the game and allow you to progress faster and faster into the game. However, I'm not really going to touch upon blessings too much in this video. This is simply going to go over how should I even be gearing my champion if it's an attack-based champion. So I'm not going to take Kale. I'm going to use Kale as an example actually, and with Kale, he does have okay stats, so make sure you're clicking this little question mark here, not a question mark, but the letter I here for info, and you go to the total stats, you can see he has only 2100 attack, he's got 1100 defense, 179 speed, 43% crit rate, 179 crit damage, and only 90 accuracy. So I don't really hop on this account very often. I only go on this account when I'm going to be upgrading for my referrals. I do collections and then I do some quests, and that's about it. I don't really go very hard on this account. So you're not going to see an amazing stacked up Kale like you would on some players that are 70 days in. But this is just the basics video. So going on to another attack based champion, say I want to use Rocktooth for example. Rocktooth is an attack based champion, he's a rare champion. And you get mainly rare champions and common and uncommon champions when you first start out in the game. And you just have no idea honestly how to gear these champions. You just see certain pieces that you get in your inventory and you're like, oh my god, these are awesome. Life, oh my god, he's gonna have so much HP, that means he can't die. Let me just go ahead and equip him. Except you really don't want to do that. Attack based champions typically scale off attack, and so when you go to their skills you want to check what is the damage based off of. So this attack based champion is based off attack, damage based off attack. So I want to make sure he's built with attack percent boots or speed boots to get him going faster, but in general attack based boots if you're going to put him into an arena based build. Now I don't really suggest building Rocktooth unless that's like one of your only rare champions that you have for faction wars. He's a good faction war champion, but he's not really that great. He does have an attack all enemy, which is okay, so he is viable for a stun set on a 3-turn cooldown. But again, attack based champion means you want to build him for damage, and if you're gonna put anything on him, you don't want to put boots that are HP base, because it's really not going to help him. It's not going to allow him to do more damage. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. He's going to do very little damage, if any at all. So I'm going to remove these and just remove it for 20,000 silver. And again, this is a very low level account. So let me just make myself a little bit smaller here so you guys can see better. Very low level account, but I mainly have been farming Dragon. So Dragon's going to be your best friend to farm when you're early game. It's honestly the easiest dungeon in the game. So you should be farming Dragon for speed gear. You should be farming campaign of the Aravia for speed boots, because speed boots are going to be the best for your champions when you're early game. As you progress into mid-game, late game, end game, you're probably going to start transitioning out of speed boots for your attack-based champions into attack percent boots. Now if you're early game, you get really lucky and you get attack percent boots for the main stat with speed and crit rate and crit damage and attack percent for the substats, then maybe you can utilize those boots on your lower level champions. But speed is the name of the game for Raid Shadow Legends. So you're going to want to put speed boots on mainly. Now if I want to go with more damage, then maybe I go up here onto my offense set and I put damage based gear on, because you're going to get a plus 15% boost to your damage. Let me put myself over here really quickly. So plus 15% attack, which is fantastic, right? And this one's already level 16 on my account, so it does have accuracy as well. So you have to think about this game. It's a strategy-based game. So if your skills for your champion, say, increase its crit rate, so that doesn't really count, so that's a buff on your allies. This one here, for example, is a debuff. So heal reduction is a debuff, so this attack-based champion attacks one enemy and places 100% heal reduction for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, and more than likely this is one of his harder hitting abilities. Typically when you see a higher cooldown, a lot of times this is going to be their strongest hitting ability next to their AoE type ability. So this one here could potentially do some decent damage. Ultimately, if you want heal reduction, that's nice in certain parts of the game, but early game, having heal reduction isn't the end-all be-all for an attack-based champion, unless you want to try to put heal reduction on some champions in Arena, which is going to mitigate the amount of healing by 100%, which they won't heal at all if you're able to land that debuff on an enemy champion. However, personally, I don't really care too much about Rocktooth. This isn't a great champion, but if I were to build him, I would build him something like this, and I would go with, this is defense percent on attack-based boots, so I wouldn't go with that. And you kind of have to go through and utilize your artifact. I call this like a sifter, so it searches through all your gear. So if I want to just look for boots, I could look for boots, and I could choose speed gear boots, and then I want attack percent boots, right? So here's all my speed boots. So my speed boots with attack percent as the main stat, and I have plenty of them, and I have plenty of speed as well. More than likely I would go with speed. And on your attack-based champions, you want crit rate. Now I will say, a good shout out to Rockbreaker, or Rocktooth, is that he has 101 speed, so that's really high for attack-based rare champion. 101 speed is not bad. And he does have a 15% crit rate, so you want to try to get to 100% crit rate if you can help it, but it's not the end of the world. If you can get at least 60% crit rate and high crit damage, your champion could be hitting good damage, but 100% crit rate is going to guarantee a higher critical damage percentage every single time when you're in Arena, dungeons, anywhere else in the game. So think of potentially farming Golem, Ice Golem, early game, or potentially farming Fire Knight as well. But you're more than likely going to want to farm Dragon because you get lifesteal gear from the Dragon. And these are speed lifesteal gear with 4% crit rate. So if I wanted to, I could have the primary stats there and then put crit rate here. And ultimately, I want to choose what's the best gear. So this is a crit rate set. So if I put crit rate 2 pieces, it's going to be an additional 12% crit rate to my attack-based champion. And if I were to upgrade this, I would hope that I get 2 rolls on crit rate, but I did get 1, which is not that bad. And it's a speed boot. So this is kind of the boot that I would put on him, for example. And again, this is just an example. I also have regeneration gear with crit rate, accuracy, and crit damage. That's not bad. And if I go down here, I have cruel gear, which is even better because cruel gear is going to ignore 5% of the enemy's defense. And cruel gear scales as you get into the later game because you're going to want 5-star and 6-star gear on your characters. Obviously, doing this piece of gear is nice too because it has accuracy and crit rate. However, you want him to actually be able to take a turn. So that's why I prefer putting speed boots early game as compared to attack percent boots. It's okay to not have crazy high attack in the beginning of the game because more than likely you're going to be nuking down everybody in arena that's in bronze. And then if you take a look at this, perception, 40 accuracy and plus 5 speed, this is actually an exceptional boot for early game accounts, and you can get that at the Forge, which is on basically the home screen. So now that I put my boots on, I want to go for attack percent chest plate, which I don't have any on my entire account, as you can see. And just to make sure, I'll go back to the filter. Attack percent with crit rate. I have 0 attack percent with crit rate. I really don't want to put flat stat attack if I can help it on these champions. However, early game, it's okay to put flat stat attack, but you want to switch out that gear as quickly as possible. You do not want to hold on to flat stat attack like this for a long time. The only way I would keep this piece on an early account is if I got crit rate on it, and it did land crit rate, which can help with critical rate, but you don't necessarily need to keep that. So if I took off crit rate, I don't have any other flat stat attacks, but I do have attack percentage. And let's say I want to put on a cruel gear that has speed on it but no crit rate. So again, none of my other gear has crit rate on it. The other thing I can do is if I want to go for HP percent, I can see if I have HP percent, which I don't. And then I want to go for defense percent next, with crit rate if possible. So you can see I have HP percent with crit rate 6%, HP percent with crit rate 5%. And the other thing is that people fall into is they want to try to mix and match sets as much as possible. So you don't necessarily have to go for sets in the game. So this was not a very lucky roll. It was double roll on resistance, so it would be better on an HP based champion for support. Now again, don't try to wrap your head around just trying to go for sets, because you could have other equipment, other artifacts in your inventory that could be good for your account. Like this, for example, defense and crit rate 20%. Obviously he's not a defense-based damage dealer, so I wouldn't want to put these onto him. However, I would go through and just keep looking. So far, it's looking like I only have this one and this one that have crit rate on it. This one has 6% and this one has 5%. But to be honest with you, if I wanted to, I could just go for more crit damage. But it has flat stat attack and resistance, which isn't typically good for a crit damage set, but it's a 5-star piece for a very early game account. So it looks like I'm going to be throwing on this cruel gear because it does have an additional bonus of plus 15% attack as well. So if I do happen to find another piece of cruel gear, I would throw that on him as well. Now these rolls are not good because there's no damage dealing type stats on it. The only thing that's good on this piece is speed and the main stat attack percent. So this is a piece of gear that I would phase out as quickly as possible. So another piece that I could throw on there, because early game you're not going to get a lot of crit damage type gauntlets, and crit damage gauntlets are going to give you the most damage on your champion that's attack based or defense based on your accounts. Basically I'm just looking for crit rate or crit damage, and then that's pretty much it. If I have crit rate or crit damage, I'm going to mix and match and see what we have. So it looks like there's nothing in cruel, there's nothing in critical rate for the set. So now I'm going to go for the next best thing. We've got 5-star crit rate with immunity, crit damage with no crit rate with no crit damage, crit rate with triple speed on lifesteal gauntlets, which is pretty nice, And obviously we would want some high speed if possible. So I go through all these pieces, and honestly, this piece right here, the stalwart piece, is probably going to be the best piece for us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to just level 8, because I don't have a ton of silver here. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw these on. So it's okay to mix and match, like I said. Right now we're at 130 speed, 83% crit damage, 33%, 32% crit rate. The speed I'm aiming for is about 160. And when I say 160, I mean after everything is upgraded, 160 to 170 speed with this gear is okay for early game. Obviously, getting into mid game and end game, it's not going to work at all. You're going to have to upgrade over time. So now we want to work on the top part. So at the top, we want crit rate, crit damage, and honestly, I'm just going to forego accuracy because I don't really need accuracy on this guy. I don't really care about that heal reduction because I'm going to use this guy mainly in arena, and I want to try to use that attack all enemies skill. So what we're going to do is go for crit rate. This one has crit rate, HP, and resistance, so we're going to go ahead and slap on this one, which is going to give us some more speed. So we're already at about 160. We weren't able to hit the cap of 100% crit rate, but it's better than nothing. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and just throw on an attack-based ring. And this is the only one I have for attack. So we're going to throw that on. And as you can see, this guy really isn't built that great. But again, this is a very early game account. And as I upgrade his artifacts, he's going to get stronger and stronger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him into arena, and I'm just going to showcase him for you and show you what he can do. We'll refresh. We're in bronze 4 right now. Of course, it shouldn't be too hard, but the only thing I'm worried about is his strength and how much health he has, so he will die quickly because of course these champions are level 50 and he's a much lower level. So let's see what we could do here. This Kale might actually be very strong, and we'll see if we can take him out. What I'll do is I'll take out my Kale because my Kale is just as strong as their Kale, and we'll go ahead and place Rocktooth. So we're going to start it. It's going to start on auto, but I'm going to try to take it off. And just to showcase, we're going to go ahead and increase attack, which is nice. And then we're going to try to freeze them because we don't want them to take a turn, which they did. Try to decrease defense on Kale. And we're already dead, so we weren't even able to take a turn because we weren't fast enough and we didn't freeze them. So unfortunately, we're going to lose. So like I said, it's going to be hard to showcase. So let's try this team here instead. So we're going to try this team instead. My Rocktooth is a little bit too slow. He needs to be rank 5, level 50. But let's see if it works against these level 40s. Deliana is also a very strong support-based champion. So we're going to increase our attack. Let's go ahead and freeze and hopefully not kill everybody, which we did anyways. We weren't able to decrease her defense, so let's just do his Rabble ability and see what it can do. It's obvious it's a weak affinity because it's red over here, so he's probably not going to do much damage. So he actually was able to land the heal reduction and did an okay amount of damage for a level 40 champion. So I'm wondering how much damage he can do on his Rabble ability at a higher level. So we're going to go ahead and remove the debuffs, and we're just going to take her out. So there you go. Let's see if we can find a different team though. Alright, so I went ahead and decided to drop myself down to bronze 3 so we can find some a little bit slower teams, but honestly some of these teams are still pretty much on par with the bronze 4 teams. So let's take a peek at this one here. This one's a little bit stronger than us, but I'm hoping because they're stronger that I can freeze them with Ninja and then showcase the attack all enemies ability that Rocktooth has. So let's go ahead and increase our attack. Let's go ahead and freeze. Okay, we froze the right people. Let's decrease defense. Excellent, we got decreased defense all across the board. And we've got the attack all enemies with placing an increased crit rate buff on all allies for 1 turn. And so he had reaction. Wow, not bad for very, very low bronze arena. So apparently people in bronze arena have reaction now. Obviously not very hard to get if you're winning clan versus clan battles. But let's just take him out because he's going to be a problem. And oh my god, Ultimate Death Knight is ridiculous. Let's get him out of there. Adios. Alright, now we can do the Rebel ability over here. Boom, 6,000 damage at level 40. We took him out. Alright. And there you go. Not terrible. So, and that's how you do it, guys. You know, that's going to be the basics for today's video on how to gear an attack-based champion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Obviously, this is my first video on just the basics. And if you guys want to see another video on just the basics, again, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I can't do nothing with you.